Stallion Part 1. So this one's just an E standard tuning, but the pitch on the album is a little wonky. It's around F sharp, so half step higher roughly. It's around there. It's still not quite in that exact tuning, but it's it's in that area. And just in terms of tone, it's pretty important to have lots of distortion. A very fizzy tone he has on there. Mine's not quite the same, but just a lot of distortion and lots of reverb and some delay if you want. So the main riff. Now, there is a bit of a difference between how he does this live and how it goes on the record. So that there may or may not be these harmonics that the guitar is doing. The bass is definitely playing there. On the album, it's not as easy to tell all the finer details because it sounds the way it does. But so it starts off with a low E. And even then, at the beginning of the song, like the guitar doesn't necessarily play along like this exactly, but throughout the song, just the main riff idea is... That's pretty much what he does live. At the beginning of the song on the album, you can actually hear him hit the low E. There's a bit of vibrato to it. Like he kind of bends it up. You can push on the behind the nut of the guitar. I've got my bridge out. You can just sort of push on, right? Just an ominous tone off the top. So, low E, open. Then harmonics on the top three strings. You're probably not going to hear the high E as much. You're mostly going to hear the G and B strings. But just harmonics on the 12th fret, right? You can be upstroke or downstroke on those. Just make sure you don't hit every other string open, Don't want to necessarily do that. I mean, it's, it's going to be noisy either way, just the nature of the song, right? But, so... And then I typically will hit like a strum, like a ghost note of just like some muted strings. And then like a low palm muted E. That's not necessarily there. It's just sort of a ghost note thing, just feels better. Like that. But, so yeah, just... And then... So a tritone there, just 12 of the low E. And then 13 of the A. And then 12 of the low E again. He's going to slowly bend up. He usually will. I just like to add a little bit of slow bend up there. Vibrato like that, but he will often go... like somewhere between a half step and a whole step up, he'll bend. And that's the key to the song, is just constantly, whenever you bend like that, throughout the whole song, you want it to be slow, just like agonizingly slow, right? This just fits with the whole vibe of the song. So that's essentially the main riff. And then I guess we'd call it the chorus section. So the chords here, you could play bar chords. I'll show that. So it's just A, major. These are all major. And then A flat, then, right? So if you're just going to go frets, it'd be 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so, I'm going to turn all this reverb and delay off for once. But, so, well, you see him do it live, and I think this is probably what he's doing on the album, is he's just doing this like dyad. So it's just, he's doing the major third thing. So there's your fretted note on the low E, and then just one fret lower on the A string, right? So again, it's just the same chords, though, just with the two note, just a little interval. And make sure that you mute the other strings. Although, again, I mean, this is this song, so, some other string noise probably isn't going to totally kill it. But, hey, if you want to make it your sound as tight and controlled and focused as possible, I don't think it hurts, honestly, just to tighten things up, right? So... Right, so... And then that's sort of it at first. And then later on, the same section, he will jump up to... he does the exact same thing, but he starts it off on the E, right? And again, sometimes when he does this live, he will actually change this. Again, on the album, I'm pretty sure it's this like dyad thing. It's like two-finger dyad thing. But sometimes live, you will hear him do like a 7th chord there. You could even be doing like a 9th or something. And then I think he'll just do like a straight-up major bar chord. Sometimes live. And I actually think that sounds pretty cool. In terms of the album, it's just, yeah. So it's just E on, this is all based on the A string now, 7th fret, down to 6th, then 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And then sometimes, as the song goes on, he will just go crazy and get like demented and do like a single kind of note thing where he'll do essentially like the 5th, like this B note up here in the D string, 9th fret. And I think he's doing some kind of weird funky thing where he's like, he's doing this little weird bend. And he's doing the 7th there on the 7th fret on the D. And he's like bending up there. Like a quarter step or whatever. And then he's just very sloppily. But again, this is like after he's been doing this for a minute. He's just sort of adding it to it, right? So that's that part. And then there's the melody part. Now this does, from what I've heard, there's a couple ways that this has changed live. But on the album, it's, and he plays it down here in this position. That's essentially what he does on the album. So that's just, so 8th fret of the B string, 9 of the G, and you're gonna make it make all the notes ring out very like legato this time around, not so much like staccato, right? So I like to add vibrato too. So down to 9 on the G, then 9 on the D, back to G, and then 7 on the B. And now 6 on the, 8 on the G. Now 9 on the D. Back to G. And then start it over again. But now instead of going, he'll go. So you can kind of hear him go. I think he might even just be going. So he kind of plucks that 8th of the G. And then 9 of the D. And he hits that and on the G string again. And then does that again. And then he ends it by going. So he actually slides up there from the 8th to the 9th on the G. Right? And then it goes into there again. Now live, what he'll do is he'll actually start up here. So he doesn't do that little, like, from what I've seen, and he doesn't end it like a... I don't think he does that, but maybe he does. Live, I'm talking. So he just starts it off differently, just... Right, so up there on the high E string, 7th fret, then down to 8th fret B, then down to the E note on the 9th of the G. And then he goes back to the B string, and then from there it's the same. Right, so that's how he does it live. So yeah, that's the melody and all that. Live versus on the album. And then there's the big bends that he does at various points in the song. So those are, you know, very... They sound really cool. So you want to sort of bend up quick. You don't want to go... You want to bend up quick, about a whole step. First one would be like G on the 7th fret. And you really want to, this is where the slow bends really matter. You want to make them as agonizingly slow as possible, right? On the descent, that is. Going down. Again, up, you want it to be pretty quick. Yeah, so that's the same exact. It's the same exact kind of pattern of the timing of the bend. Only so that was the 7th of the G, about a whole step up, and now it's about a whole step up, and then back down on the 8th of the B up to this A note here. Right, so he does that a couple times. And then he will go, I think at some point he does this kind of as a unison bend. Of course, the unison bend, just that. But I'm not entirely sure about that. And I don't think he does it. I don't think he does it on this string. But again, you can totally do that if you want. I think it sounds cool. I think he does a kind of a whole step bend down here in this vein on the 2nd fret of the G. Now I can't really do that with the B. I think he might. It almost sounds like there's it's ringing in unison. Kind of like that. Sounds pretty gnarly. And then up here. And that one does sound like unison bend. Maybe it's a unison bend on the 5th of the G. Right? So. And that's essentially it. Those are just a bunch of wild bends and all that. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you had fun learning the song.